So let's get real for a second. The stakes here are incredibly high. When a person goes into shock, their body is, well, it's in total crisis mode. It's like a domino effect, where their vital organs just aren't getting the oxygen they need to survive. Every single second counts.
So, that's a pretty heavy question, right? But the good news is the answer is something every single one of us can learn. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. Give you the clear, simple, and actionable steps you can take while you're waiting for the professionals to arrive.
Okay, so before we can do anything, we got to understand what we're actually up against. What even is medical shock?
The best way to think about it is like a power outage for the human body. Oxygen is the electricity that keeps all the systems running. When that supply gets cut off, things just start to shut down. The whole point of first aid is to try and get that power back on. Or, at least keep the backup generators running until the real help can get there.
Now, what's interesting is that shock isn't just one thing. It can actually be caused by a few different problems. Maybe the heart isn't pumping right, that's cardiogenic. Or maybe there's been a lot of blood loss, that's hypovolemic. But here's the thing you absolutely need to remember. For first aid purposes, it doesn't matter. The basic steps are pretty much the same for all of them. You don't have to be a doctor to help.
All right, so how do you spot it? Being able to recognize the signs is your first crucial step to being able to help someone.
So someone in shock might seem really out of it, confused, maybe dizzy. If you touch their skin, it might feel cold and clammy. And you might notice that their breathing is really fast and shallow, or their pulse is super weak but rapid. Just remember, they're not going to have a checklist. They might only have a few of these symptoms. But if you see a combination, it's a huge red flag.
Okay, we know what it is, we know what it looks like. So what's the first thing you do? And I mean, the very first thing. If you take away only one piece of information from our entire chat today, this is it.
Yep, that's it. Before you do anything else, you call for help. This isn't something that gets better on its own. It is a full-blown medical emergency, and that person needs a professional, fast.
I'm going to say it again because it is that important. You call for help always, first. You have to assume that their condition is only going to get worse, not better. Getting paramedics on the way is priority number one, period.
And hey, knowing what not to do is just as important. Don't give them anything to eat or drink. No water, nothing. They could choke, or they might need emergency surgery later. And unless they're in immediate danger, like in the middle of a burning building, do not move them if you even slightly suspect a head, neck, or back injury. You could make things so much worse. Okay, so you've made the call. Help is on the way. Now what do you do? Well, while you wait, there's a super simple, really powerful tool you can use to check on the person. It's as easy as ABC.
And the order here is absolutely critical, right? A is for airway. Is anything blocking it? B is for breathing. Are they actually breathing? And C is for circulation. Can you feel a pulse? And really importantly, do you see any major bleeding? You have to check in that order because circulation doesn't mean a thing if they're not breathing, and they can't breathe if their airway is blocked. Simple as that.
So, once you've done that quick ABC check, you're basically at a fork in the road. And what you do next depends entirely on one critical piece of information. Are they breathing or not?
This breaks it down perfectly. If they are breathing, you're in one mode. Your job is to handle other big threats like serious bleeding and just keep them as stable as possible. But if they're not breathing, that's a whole different story. You have to stop any major bleeding right away, and then you start CPR. Did you catch the common thread there? Controlling severe bleeding is a huge priority in both cases.
So how do you do that? How do you stop severe bleeding? Well, first, get a cloth, a bandage, a t-shirt, whatever you have, and press down on the wound. And I mean hard. If that's not enough and the blood is still coming, you need to pack the wound with more cloth and then press down again. A tourniquet should be your absolute last resort. You'd only use it on an arm or a leg if the bleeding is just catastrophic and nothing else is working.
Now, while you're waiting for the pros to show up, there are a few other little things you can do that make a huge difference. Get a blanket or a jacket and cover them up to keep them warm. Shock can make their body temperature plummet. As long as their legs aren't injured, prop their feet up about a foot. This helps blood flow back towards their vital organs. And hey, if they start to vomit, you've got to gently roll them onto their side. That keeps their airway clear.
And that's it. Those are the simple, effective steps you can take. When you boil it all down, it's pretty straightforward. Stay safe, call 911 right away, check their ABCs, and do what you can to help until the ambulance arrives. The knowledge you've picked up in just the last few minutes is incredibly powerful. The only real question left is, if an emergency happens tomorrow, will you be ready to act?